What's good? Thank you so much for tuning into this bonus episode of The Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. You know the whole spiel, so let's just get into what you're about to hear this time. I've got 3 little updatey deals, and then we'll get into the bulk of this episode. The first is specifically for people that want to see a live show in the UK. The second is about what charity we're giving to, because this is an off week. And the third is about what you're going to hear for the rest of this episode. So first off, very happy to announce that on very short notice, we are doing a live show for The Newest Olympian in Manchester in the United Kingdom. So that's going to be on September 19th, which is a Friday. It will be at 8 p.m. whatever Manchester time zone time is. And it's going to be at the Droylsden Little Theatre, which is in Droylsden, but the internet tells me that that is still within Greater Manchester, and also that it's like a 20-ish minute train ride out of the Manchester Piccadilly train station, which seems to be a big one. I'm learning all this stuff on the fly. The tickets are not live at the time of recording. I'm currently working with the theater to figure out if they can sell the tickets so that I don't have to deal with VAT and stuff. So just mark your calendars for Friday, 8 p.m. local time on September 19th, and just check over on the TNO social medias for whenever the tickets are actually live. You can go to thenewesolympian.com/live as well. And if the tickets are up and available for purchase, there will be a link to buy them. Otherwise, there will be something that says coming soon or something to that effect. That theater does live up to its name. It is a 100-seat theater, so it is on the smaller end. So if you want to come through, come through. I know it's short notice, but Kelly and I are doing a trip to the UK short notice, and I want to do a show in Manchester because it turns out I have more listeners in Manchester than I do in London, so it's not fair that I went to London and not Manchester when I did tour up in 2023. My apologies, Manchester/Northern England. So I'm going to be doing a show there. I hope you come through. Now, the second thing, this is an off week for the Newest Olympian. September is a 5-Monday month. This is Labor Day weekend. Feels like the best time to take off in the month of September. So we're going to be taking a break here and posting a bonus episode. But because we're doing that, that means we're donating to a charity. So since the last time we donated to a charity, there have been 286,000 total downloads of The Newest Olympian, meaning that we will be giving $286 to a charity. And the charity that I'm supporting this time is Everytown for Gun Safety. If you have been following the news, there was unfortunately yet another tragic school shooting here in the States. It's ridiculous. I hate it. It's the worst. It's awful. And thankfully, Everytown for Gun Safety is doing some good stuff. They have been for a very long time. They've had recent successes in some local November elections. They helped get some propositions passed in states like Colorado and Pennsylvania and New York and Michigan. So they work with other advocacy groups like Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action, and they try to help get these propositions up and passed. And they're doing lots of different work to try and ban assault rifles and enforce background checks on all gun sales and to try and repeal gun industry immunity. So if you want to learn more about what they are doing, you can go to everytown.org. Now, finally, what are you going to be hearing in this bonus episode? This bonus episode is the first episode of a new podcast that I launched with big fan favorite of the TNO universe, Sequoia Simone. We have launched a new podcast called Professional Talkers. Since we are both full-time professional podcasters, we have lots of experience with having conversations, and not only having conversations, but having lots of conversations that are publicly available for the internet to listen to and ridicule us for, making silly mistakes of mispronouncing words or making other gaffes of not knowing things or showing your true colors and having awkward conversations and stuff. And since we have had so many awkward conversations in our lives, we are trying to teach other folks about how they can avoid awkward conversations in their lives. So at the time of recording, 4 episodes are live. The first one, which you are about to hear, is about small talk at a party, where the only person that you know there is the host. We also have episodes about how to avoid awkward first dates, how to tell your roommate that they're being a little bit messy, how to apologize to a friend. And the next episode that will come out is talking to that one relative at Thanksgiving. And our episode that time will guest star Jeffrey Craner from Welcome to Night Vale. It's a really fun show, and you can listen to this first episode, but you can also watch all of the episodes because it is a video podcast. So if you go over to the Professional Talkers Spotify or YouTube, you can watch the video version of this podcast. It's the exact same audio, but if you want to also see us, and we did a cool 3-camera setup for the first episode, it was quite well done. And one of my summer interns reference, Steven helped with the video production work there. It looks gorgeous, but you can check that out on the Spotify channel page for Professional Talkers or over on our YouTube channel page. Just search for Professional Talkers in either of those and you can watch that. We're really proud of this podcast. It's really fun. We have it come out every other Monday, and it's just a fun way for the two of us to finally be on a regular podcast together. I know people always enjoy when Sequoia's on the pod, and people always enjoy when I've been on Sequoia's pods. So for us to have a podcast to work on together is really fun. Now, at the mid-roll break of this episode, I'll talk about how Sequoia and I are doing that TNO live stream together on September 13th if you want to see more of us working together. And I'll also talk about a cool Patreon thing that the deadline ends today. If you're listening to this, the day comes out on September 1st. But I've rambled enough. Let's get into this episode of Professional Talkers. And you will hear me at the mid-roll break talking about some other fun stuff. But take it away, Mike and Sequoia, for the first episode of Professional Talkers. Woo! Oh, you play Slaps McGee? I've never met anyone else that's played Slaps McGee before.
Yeah. And then I'll be like, can you get full sets of Slaps McGee?
They stopped making it in the 90s because people were choking on the pieces. Yeah. Hi, Sequoia.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. What a great conversation we just had. Hello, welcome to Professional Talkers, a comedic conversational advice podcast from two professional podcasters. We talk professionally so we can teach you how to get by in various conversations that you might find awkward.
I'm really excited to get into our topic today.
Yes.
But before we do that, I think the listeners need to know a little bit more about us.
Correct.
Because we have podcasts. As
do.
you said,
Mm-hmm.
we are professional podcasters.
Mm-hmm.
But there might be people here who have not listened to our previous podcast experiences.
Exactly. Let's just get it all out there. We are professional podcasters. My name is Mike Schubert. I make a couple of shows independently on my own, mainly about books and stuff. But now I'm excited here to have one that is a little less strictly rigidly subject specific. See how good I am at talking? And I'm excited to embark on this venture with you. What about your podcasting background?
Yeah. So I have really existed in like fan spaces as a podcaster, as have you, and also in like storytelling spaces. So, you know, this is definitely a departure for me as well. But as podcasters, listen, folks, when you're a podcaster, those things are recorded and then they go on the internet and then a lot of people listen to them.
So many people listen to them. You know how sometimes you'll say something awkward in a conversation and maybe there's 5 people there and you're thinking, oh my goodness, those 5 people heard me say this word, or I just learned today I've been mispronouncing this word my entire life.
Yes.
Me, for example, in 5th grade, I learned that it's not Luncheon, like it's a Pokemon, it's Luncheon. It was one of those popcorn reading things in class. I'd never seen the word Luncheon before. I played a lot of Pokemon. I was like, Luncheon? Everyone laughed at me. Why did all of these people in central New Jersey know what Luncheons are? No idea.
No
but
idea.
30 people heard that. That was kind of embarrassing. For us as professional podcasters, there was one episode of Potterless, my Harry Potter podcast, where I came across the word underfed for the first time in my life reading it, and I thought it was underfed. And even on the podcast, I Googled, and I was like, what does underfed mean? It must be some British English word that we don't use in America. And I Googled it and I was like, oh, it means like malnourished. Huh, interesting. Recorded it, edited it, uploaded it, thought nothing of it.
Right.
Absolutely got dunked on, as I should.
Right.
And yeah, I was worried about 30 people hearing me say Luncheon. Over 585,000 people have heard me not understand the word underfed. So all of this is to say, we've been through the worst possible situations of saying something awkwardly, having it recorded and broadcast for the internet to listen to forever, so we can help you avoid awkward conversations that maybe 4 people might think you're strange.
Sure. You know, your Luncheon example did remind me that one time I was performing a monologue and I said, Whore's divorce.
Oh. In your defense,
Yeah.
it looks confusing.
How was I
Whenever
supposed to
do you
know?
eat hors d'oeuvres except for at weddings? I'm not fancy enough to have ever had an hors d'oeuvre other than at a wedding.
I was in high school. Why am I supposed to know that says hors d'oeuvre?
Huh?
Why?
You're not supposed to know. Now, we
Yeah.
will be giving advice on this podcast. Sometimes it's going to be us. Sometimes we'll have experts when it's things outside of our field. But what is important is that we are both extroverted millennials. So we
Yes.
understand that our perspective, our advice isn't necessarily going to be the end all be all. So we
Yes.
are certainly going to have introvert vibe checks throughout the episodes to make sure after we've given our advice that it wouldn't just be something where an introvert listens to 40 minutes of advice and then goes, yeah, that's because you like talking to people.
Right, exactly. That's because you're not afraid to walk up to strangers and talk to them.
Exactly. So we will
Yeah.
definitely be doing introvert vibe check. We might even be doing like Gen Z vibe check or different age groups just to make sure that we're trying to give as well-rounded of advice as we can and it's not just specifically in our niche.
Right, exactly. Which is, something that'll come into play today in today's particular topic.
Yes.
But, Mike, why are we doing this? And I ask you purposefully to explain why we're doing this.
The big picture is that I had the idea that I wanted to write a book.
Mhm.
I do not know how to write a book. I do know how to create a podcast. So my thought process after deciding writing a book alone about conversational advice is ridiculous because you need to have as many different opinions as possible. So getting someone from a different walk of life, huge. Someone that I like making podcasts with, huge.
Right.
So that became the idea of I shouldn't write this book alone. I should do it with someone. I don't know how to write a book. I know how to make a podcast. Let's make the podcast and try to figure out the book later. That's the understanding. So we'll see where this podcast goes.
Right.
We'll see. Hopefully the book exists. Maybe even this podcast becomes super duper ginormous and this is just the fun, humble beginnings.
Right.
But regardless, we're going to have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, you came to me and you said, do you want to write a book? And I thought, oh, I've written a lot of fan fiction. Are two boys going to kiss in this book?
Look, I don't know.
I mean,
Well,
it's not
relationship
out of
advice
the
might show up.
question. Yeah.
And we are going to have listener submitted questions. Maybe people are going to say, I'm a boy. How do I kiss a boy? Maybe we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
I think we've preambled enough. Should we get into this episode's hyper-specific topic?
Yes, let's do it.
Now, on these episodes, we will be doing very specific topics because you can't answer every single thing about a broad situation, such as how do I condone myself at a wedding while I'm eating whore's divorce?
Right.
But the joy of being hyper-specific is that we can revisit a topic from a couple of different angles. So on this episode, we will be covering the topic small talk at a party where the only person that you know is the host. A very specific, awkward level of hell. I'm pretty sure it's one of Dante's levels of hell in the Inferno. Maybe the sixth level.
Yeah, I think I
It's
remember
just
that.
a super tough situation sometimes, and we figured it would be the best place to kick off episode 1.
So, first we're going to tell each other how many pieces of advice we have brought today. We're going to get into some pitfalls, but we'll do that later.
Right.
First, we're going to do advice.
Yes.
So, Mike, how many pieces of advice have you brought us
I
today?
have 3 pieces of advice. How many pieces of advice do you have?
3.
Perfect. We can go
We
back and
didn't
forth.
even plan that. We
No,
didn't
we
even
didn't.
plan that.
We did not. We're just so in
Professional.
sync. Professional talker. Do you want to begin with your first piece of advice?
So, my first piece of advice, I will caveat, as we've been saying, this is a pretty extrovert or extrovert adjacent piece of advice.
Sure.
So, you're at a party,
Yes.
you've shown up, there's a bunch of people there. You don't know anybody, you only know the host. You've said hello, but they're doing something.
They're busy.
They're busy. They're putting together the horse divorce.
Of course they
We're
are.
doing it forever. Callback City, here we come. So you have to find someone to talk to. Now, it's intimidating to just like walk up to a person and be like, hi, I'm Sequoia. What's up with you?
Mm-hmm.
So my piece of advice is to sort of like walk around and get acquainted with what's going on, what people are talking about without joining any conversation at first.
Ooh, very Horst Devore of you. Kind of sampling rather than diving right in.
Exactly. We're sampling the conversations. We're walking around. We're going, look at this painting. Look at this picture. Oh, look at this.
Look at these things on the bookshelf.
Oh, I like that book. A great choice from the host, who I like and is my friend. And the only person I know here. But you're just sort of like getting a taste for all the conversations. And then you enter a conversation with, like, if there's somebody talking about movies, there's one group talking about books, and like you want to pick kind of a bigger group and, you know, go in and be like, oh, did I hear you talking about the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants?
Quality. Book or film. Could be either.
Could be either. Yeah, we had to
America
go.
Ferrera. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then you're like, oh, and that gives you the in to the larger conversation.
Okay.
And then you're inserting yourself into a conversation that's already happening. So you don't have to come armed with anything in particular to say, except for, I love that movie. And then you're in the conversation.
That's really good. That also allows you to do something that I love to do in inserting yourself in a conversation, because it's hard, especially at a party. These 5 people might be super tight and you're new to the group. You don't really know, especially if you don't know people at the party. This could just be an amalgamation of people. It could be like the tightest 5 friends you've ever met.
And everybody's like, wow, way to try to insert yourself into that conversation.
You tried to do it, the 5? Oh my God.
The 5.
Not the 5. But it allows a move that I like to do, which is like dramatically lean in to whatever they're talking about and be like, I feel like I have to like stand for this, but just to be like, I'm so sorry, are you guys talking about Dunkaroos? Like, it's a great thing because you've like driven past the awkwardness by almost admitting like, this is kind of a weird thing. Inserting yourself into a conversation just like is a weird thing to do.
Sure.
So you've kind of been like, I'm so sorry, I couldn't help but notice.
Like,
and
well, I was inspecting this excellent vase. And I couldn't help but overhear you talking about Dunkaroos.
Now, again, obviously, if you're a comfortable extrovert like me, yeah, but you can just do a normal thing where you can be like, are you guys talking about, you know, sushi? Like, whatever it is. I think that is a great piece of advice. It's a good way to get into it because I think that is also a thing that helps at these kind of parties. If you do insert yourself into an established group, then you've had multiple people you've already talked to. If you just talk to one person, it's tough.
It is.
It's pretty tricky, and then it runs the risk of going stale, and then you're both just standing there, and then how do you leave? Do you make an excuse that you got to go to the bathroom? I like this. I think that's a really solid opening piece of advice.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you haven't seen the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, get on that, listeners.
Yeah. Okay. Now, my first piece of advice, I'm happy to say, because we're professional talkers.
Whoa.
I've come up with a prop. It's a legal pad.
Oh my God.
I went to Staples. No SpawnCon, but I did go to Staples, and I have acquired a legal pad because if we're professional talkers, I want to do this professionally.
I just want the listeners to understand that I've been in your apartment for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And that's just
been in here.
That's just been hidden away from me for you to dramatically reveal.
Yeah, you know, I just figured it would be good to have a reference. And then I gotta say, when I was writing on the legal, it felt so good.
Writing on a legal pad is powerful.
I haven't done it in at least a decade. It feels great.
Wow.
It's fantastic. So my first piece of conversational advice is to ask and open with a question. This can work more effectively, I think, in a one-on-one thing. So you've given the group advice. I'll give the one-on-one advice. I am not a big fan of asking, what do you do for work? I'll get into this in the pitfall section. Right. I think a better opening question, especially at this type of party, is asking someone, how do you know so-and-so? So if it's Richard's party, you go, how do you know Richard? Because then you understand why they are there. It allows for conversations. It can be fun conversations if they are Richard's childhood friend and you know Richard from college. You can be like, oh my gosh, I went to college with Richard. What was Richard like in middle school?
Is there any word in particular that he may have pronounced at one point incorrectly you can tell me about? Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just good because if this is someone's birthday party, someone's hosting a thing, what is the thing you both for sure have in common? You both know the host. You both know Richard. And even if that person doesn't know Richard, it allows for a good conversation because that person could just say, I have no idea who Richard is. I'm Pam's boyfriend. Like,
Right.
and then you're fine. And then you can just, oh, okay, cool. Like, it's a very low stakes. You've not asked a question that they have to think very hard about. That's at least a good go-to. I think a similar one would also be, this is kind of like maybe big city specific, I don't know, but in New York, you can ask someone like, what part of the city do you live in? And it's not weird. I don't know about other cities. I've only usually lived in major cities. So I would have to get a different vibe check on that.
Yeah. I mean, even I come from kind of a smaller city. And that's still, I think, a valid question because, like, every neighborhood has its own style and its own, like, thing going on. So I do think, and especially here in New York, where you're like, oh, we live in different neighborhoods. Where we could both say we're from New York, but those two places are literally 2 hours apart.
Right.
You know?
You took how many trains and buses to get here today?
I don't want to talk about it. I love going into this conversation with knowing what you have in common already and rolling with that.
Right.
Because what if they are a work friend of Rich? It's Richard,
It's
right?
Richard. It's Richard. It's Richard. Yeah.
Our guy
Rich.
Rich, yeah. And then they can say, oh, yeah, well, he goes by Richard at work. And then you could say, well, we call him
Dick because it's the 1980s. Yeah.
Exactly. Then there's a way into other kinds of conversation, like, oh, what do you do at work with Richard or whatever? So it's a good place to start that has like natural places to go afterwards.
Yeah. And then if we are talking about the other one, the where you from thing, that allows for a lot of different things. If someone says they're from a particular neighborhood, you can be like, oh, I went to this really great restaurant nearby. Have you ever been? Or, oh, I'm in a rec softball league and we play our games in that part of town. Like, there is a lot of opportunity to talk about the city in which you both live, or at least the general area in which you both live. And then even so, someone's from out of town, they're from Oklahoma, ask them what Oklahoma is like. It allows for so many different conversations that aren't potential bummers. And that's what I'll get into in the pitfall of asking someone, what do you do for work?
Yeah. If I talk to somebody at a party and they are like, I'm from Oklahoma, I'm immediately like, oh, the wind goes sweeping.
Sure. And everyone stops what they're doing and they turn to look at you.
Exactly.
Oh, she's amazing.
And that's what extrovert energy is. No, I don't actually do that, and I wouldn't do
we
that.
Wouldn't recommend that.
Recommend you do that.
Not our advice this time around. But do you have a second piece of advice?
I do have a second piece of advice. Funny that you should say walking up to a group is good because walking up to one person can stagnate. My second piece of advice is to find the other person who doesn't know anyone there.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
It's the same thing as how do you know Richard? It's like, what are you doing here? You're starting on like a common ground.
Hey,
Your
we're both stressed. What's going on? I think that's going to be an overarching theme of this podcast, is that a lot of solutions is just, if we were all just honest and open and we all leveled with each other.
Right. Yeah.
Everything would not be scary and terrifying, because we've all been in this scary and terrifying small talk situation. I always try to be very receptive if someone comes up to me at a party, because it's like, I know I've been in that chair. I've been there where I don't know anyone and it sucks. So if someone is looking to not be in that situation, I'm going to welcome them in. So honesty is the best policy.
Exactly. Like if you're wandering around the party, you're like stuck to the snack table or whatever, which is something I'll talk about in Pitfalls. We'll get there. But and you see someone and you're like, oh, that person is like really inspecting that vase, you know, like they're clearly trying to find a way into some conversation. You can be that person for them. You can be like, you know what, we'll have a conversation with each other, and then maybe if we're laughing and having a great time and singing songs from Oklahoma, people will come over and they will be like, wow, you guys seem like a fun party, good time.
That's great. And I did this recently, not at it's an extreme version of this, but it was a wedding where I only knew the bride and groom. And there was a guy who clearly was someone's plus one, kind of off to the side, just chilling. And I utilized this tactic, and it was great because I did it early on in the event. And then the whole night, if I was ever feeling awkward, I was like, well, I know I can talk to this guy.
Right. You've got a buddy.
And we both know that we're each other's, I don't know what's going on. Hey, how are you? What's going on? How's the food? How's the drink? Did you get this cocktail or the other one?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I think it's solid. All right, I'm going to return to the legal pad. For
Right.
advice
Bring out
number
the
2.
legal pad again.
Yes,
I gotta get a
number 2.
legal pad. I feel so naked.
Advice number 2, compliment someone's outfit choices, especially any fun accessories that they are wearing, because usually, if they are at least like us, there is a story behind the accessories. Here's a quick example. Sequoia, I love your earrings.
These?
Are they a domino set? What are your earrings?
That's such a good question. Here's the thing about these earrings.
Look, we're doing it in real time.
Exactly, we're doing it in real time.
We're doing it live.
And I love that you point this out because I'm always wearing fun earrings. I love it when people point them out. These specifically were made for me by a friend who had just gotten like a random game from like a thrift store that was like missing pieces or something. So they just took the pieces out of it and made jewelry out of the pieces.
It's so cool.
This is fun because to this day, no one can figure out what game these are from.
That's beautiful. And one day maybe you'll find the answer.
Exactly.
And maybe that person will be at the party like, oh, you play Slaps McGee? I've never met anyone else that's played Slaps McGee before.
Yeah. And then I'll be like, can you get full sets of Slaps McGee?
They stopped making it in the 90s because people were choking on the pieces. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you go into business as a reseller of old Slaps McGee.
Start a Kickstarter.
Together with that person that you met at the party, and it's like a whole thing. Exactly.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, this is a great piece of advice, especially because, I mean, the other way around, wear something.
Yes.
Fun.
Oh, totally. And I did this recently. I was seeing a friend's stand-up show. Afterwards, people are just kind of hanging around the bar. The host of the show had these really ornate golden eagle earrings. And I just went up to him. I said, those are fantastic earrings. And he said, oh, thank you. They're from a failed Halloween costume that I never got to wear. You know what we ended up talking about for the next 10 minutes? The failed Halloween costume. What was the costume? Why was it failed? What happened? Was it a couple's costume situation?
I know.
I never met this person, never said anything, complimented the earrings. We ended up talking for like 15 minutes with no breaks.
Because I need to know everything immediately. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, like everything that I'm wearing has a story, like wedding ring, obviously, college ring can talk about school. This is a friendship bracelet I was given to at a live show of the Newest Olympian, my Percy Jackson podcast. This is a calculator watch that I got because I think Rolexes are silly because all they can do is tell time. This can at least do math. This necklace is my grandmother's necklace that I got refitted to fit me. Like it's everything that I'm wearing usually has a story, from accessories even down to like socks and stuff. If people are like me in any way, there's usually at least some sort of story. And even if there's not a story, they can just be like, oh, I just got them at Claire's. And then you can talk about Claire's. Oh my God, did you get your ear pierced there when you were 12?
Oh my gosh. I got my ears pierced there when I was like 8. And then I was so freaked out that I had holes in my ears that I cried. And then we let them close up. And then we went back to Claire's when I was 11 and I got them pierced again.
Yeah. See? It doesn't even just have to be accessories. You can compliment someone's sweater, their shoes, whatever. Especially at a party, like people are usually trying to put on something. If you're like me, you're praying that someone asks you about the things you've put on. So
truly. I'm also wearing my friendship bracelets from live shows, one from yours and one from mine.
There you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I like to wear these because I want people to ask me about them.
For me, it's more, I just put so much thought where like this one, it's because all of the colors of this are the colors of what I'm wearing. Yeah. So I have,
You're always so well color coordinated, I will say.
Thank you. It all spans back to in 7th grade when my sister's friend, Mike O'Donnell, taught me that when I was wearing and this is very 7th grade, I'm 32 for age context. So this was 2005, wearing my Abercrombie and Fitch and/or Hollister polos.
Sure.
They have the thing where they'd have the little animal stitched in and it would be different colors. It would be like blue and then you'd have little orange moose. Mike O'Donnell told me, oh, you should wear an orange shirt underneath because then it matches the stitch. And from then on, just skyrocket into color coordination. I mean, it's actually been very helpful. This is now a fashion advice podcast. It's actually helpful when I don't know what to do to put together an outfit. It's like, oh, okay, well, there's yellow in this, so I can wear that. There's blue in that, so I can wear that. Yeah. But all this to say, it's a great conversation starter. The conversational tree has lots of branches.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that.
Hello, So, welcome to the mid-roll break of Professional Talkers. Obviously, this sounded different in the first episode of Professional Talkers, but since you're here and you're in the TNO world, let's talk about some TNO relevant stuff. That also does include Sequoia. On September 13th, Sequoia and I will be in Providence, Rhode Island. We will also be on stage with Dr. Stephen Parra, and we will also be live streaming this to wherever the internet is interneting. We're going to be covering the very end of the Mark of Athena. I will be live reading whatever that part is. I won't even have notes prepped on it, so you will get my genuine first reaction to that big plot twist that happens, and you can see that in person in Providence, Rhode Island, or you can watch the stream of it. Either way, you can get tickets at thenewslympian.com/live. That live stream, which is at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, September 13th, will also come with a 7-day replay. So if that day or time isn't good for you, no sweat. Or if you want to watch it multiple times, cool. And you can go and watch it whenever works best for you. In addition to Dr. Stephen Parra and Sequoia joining me on stage, Sherry and Robert from the Damien page will be at the merch table and running the Q&A. So it'll be a blast and a half. So again, that's thenewslympian.com/live for tickets. And today, if you're listening to this on the day this comes out, September 1st, this is the last day to sign up for the TNO Bookmark promotion that we've got going on. Basically, for anyone who is an annual TNO Patreon member, by the end of today, we'll get access to complimentary bookmarks. I will be mailing out complimentary bookmarks, one of which has the table of contents with my retitling of all of the chapters in The Lost Hero, and then another one is all of the chapters in The Son of Neptune. The Lost Hero one is gold, the Son of Neptune one is teal. They are both gorgeous. They're going to be high quality. I'm working with like professional printers, the people who do my posters, to make them, and then we'll be mailing them out. So if you go over to thenewslympian.com/Patreon and you join at any tier, or if you are already in a tier, adjust that tier to an annual tier, or if you used to be on the Patreon and now you want to rejoin, whatever it is, whoever is set to annual Patreon membership by the end of September 1st, you will get a bookmark. That also counts like if you signed up for an annual membership in like February, so you don't have to, do anything there, but I'm just going to look of who is doing yearly stuff right now. And if you're in that category, you're going to get some bookmarks. So there you are. You can see a preview of what they look like on the Patreon or on the TNO Instagram. They look gorgeous, and I hope you enjoy them. Okay, so that's everything for the mid-roll break here. Might hear some ads and stuff, some of the locally inserted ones, but then once those complete, we'll get into the rest of this bonus episode of Professional Talkers, which I hope you have been enjoying, and I hope you enjoy the rest of it.
Okay, I've got one more.
Okay.
I've got my last. I saved the best for last.
Ooh, okay.
I did. And you will know this about me. I am perpetually on time.
Yes, you are.
But in the context, and I've done this at your parties before, show up first.
This is good.
Exactly.
That's
so
really
here's
good.
the thing. You come in, you're
Yeah.
like, hi, Mike. And Mike's wife,
Mhm.
I'm here first to the party. And then you're helping set up or you're helping do something. And then they introduce you to
Yes.
people
Yes.
as they walk in. And then those people are joining your conversation. They're the ones coming from outside in.
I'm so glad you said this.
Thank you.
Because I was even thinking earlier, if there is some sort of way to make your host be a better host, because a host, introducing you to people is huge.
Right.
Yeah, if you're there early, people are showing up. They go, oh, do you know Sequoia? This is Fabio. I know him from Italian class.
From the front of the romance novels. That's where I know him from, and that's why we're friends.
But that's really smart. I've never thought of this as like a way to get around awkwardness at a party. And it's almost, you would think, counterintuitive of like, you want to get there later when there's more people there. But no,
that's
specifically
wrong.
when you only know the host,
Mhm.
you want to get there when only the host is there. That also allows, like you were saying, helping set up with stuff is really good, because then it gives you something to do. And then if you're setting up the drink table with someone else you don't know, you can
With
talk
Fabio.
while you and Fabio can put out all of the different drinks who we won't name specifically, so that we can get a brand sponsor later in the podcast.
Call us.
Liquid Death, email us.
Truly. Yeah. And I think
Email us also, truly.
also truly. That's good. I think it makes it so that like you're standing on home ground more than you would be if you were walking in and there was already a bunch of people there. Also, like you're saying, the host is going to get busier as the night goes on
100%.
because more people are going to arrive.
100%.
The chips are going to be out and they're going to need to put more chips in the chip bowl. And so if you're there early, they can focus on helping you make connections. And then even if people are like walking in and they don't stick with you specifically, you've already been introduced to them. So you can join their group conversations later in the night because you already know them.
That's good. You have saved the best for last.
And I think it's introvert friendly.
I was going to say, it is so achievable. It is not like personality specific. It is not bravery required.
No.
It is just specifically...
It's just punctuality required. And I understand that
struggle with.
hard. Yeah.
If anything, this might be a better for introverts, worse for extroverts thing. Because I also hate to be late, but I'm also great at being late because I have what my wife Kelly likes to call time optimism. It's not that I don't know what needs to be done. I just think, I can definitely get dressed, eat a sandwich, do my hair, and wash the dishes in 15 minutes so that I catch the only train that will get me there early. And it never happens. Wow, great. Okay, my third piece of advice.
Can you top that, Mike? You got it.
What's good about this is that it is more, I think, complementary to one you already gave. So it's more like I am yes-anding your previous advice as opposed to trying to top that because I can't. What I've said is don't fear inserting yourself into a group conversation, but don't steamroll the conversation. So I think this is just kind of like a 1A to your point one.
Yes.
When you do insert yourself into the conversation, especially if you're doing the maneuver that we talked about earlier, you want to contribute to the conversation. You don't want to make it all about you, especially if it's the thing where it's that group of 5 that are really tight. If you do it where you come in and now all 6 of us are just talking about you, someone we have never met.
Right.
I think if you do it, contribute to it. If you're coming in with something to add, you can say something a little bit and then just kind of let it enhance the conversation. Let's say you have an interesting tidbit to add to the conversation. They're talking about a famous actor and you happen to have met them before or they're your grandpa or whatever the heck. It can end up being a thing where it's just you talking about it now, but like try to deflect it because you have entered in the conversation. You don't want it to completely now be dominated by you. Yeah. Also, if you are an extrovert, like that could be daunting, is that it's just like all 6 people are talking to me about the thing I said. So try to find a way to contribute without being like, this is about me now.
Right. Yeah. And I think that may be like, if you come in to the conversation, oh my gosh, are you guys, first of all, let me put down this vase.
The vase. Richard's vase.
I gotta put down Richard's vase. Then, oh my gosh, are you guys talking about Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants? That's my favorite movie. Who's your favorite character? What's your favorite American? Like, if you have a follow-up question that can like, hi, I'm inserting myself into the conversation, but also deflecting back into it. I think that can help sort of mitigate that.
I did this recently. I overheard people talking about the book Holes, which is my favorite book. And I only recently learned that there's a sequel to Holes.
What?
Yeah. It's called Small Steps. And it follows a story years later about Armpit.
What?
Yeah, I know.
How did we not know this?
Exactly. So someone were talking about Holes. I was like, oh, you guys talking about Holes? I just learned this. Do you guys know there's a sequel to Holes? What? It's the same kind of thing. So just do that, boom. And then I very briefly was like, yeah, it was really good. I read it. But what were you guys saying? I'm so sorry. Even if you do feel a little steamroll, you can be like, sorry, enough about me.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. We've done the advice. Shall we get into the pitfalls?
Pitfalls.
How many pitfalls do you have?
3.
I also have 3. Oh my God.
3 just feels like a good number.
Feels right. Yeah. And I'm a big Oxford comma fan, so I love to do a sentence with 3 and the comma. Yeah, and
wow.
That's a different topic. Okay. How about I start with my first pitfall? My first pitfall. Don't ask what someone does for work, because what if they hate their job?
Hey, guess what, Mike?
Yeah.
That's also my first
Let's
pitfall.
Go. I know it is society's introductory question. And I would love, as we said earlier, if this podcast can change society where we're all just more honest. I know it's like the thing and it's society's thing, but there's also things in society that don't make sense. You know what shouldn't be weird? Farting. We all do it 14 times a day. It's either smelly or it makes a funny noise. It should be funny. Yeah. And we all should recognize it. Farts should be yawns. We just do them. Right. So it's okay for us to push back against societal norms on this podcast. I just feel like asking someone, what do you do for work? it's like an easy, low lift kind of question, but there is the potential where you ask someone and they're just like, oh, I do this and I don't like it. And then you're just like,
and then you started out on a sour note.
Totally.
And also it's like the conversation's now dead or whatever.
Right. Maybe they just came from work. They're really tired. They work long hours. They're always talking about work. They don't want to talk about work.
Yeah.
So I think it can come up later, maybe, especially if you get the vibe, or if it comes up naturally. They say they're coworkers with Richard or something.
Mm-hmm.
But as an opening question, I just don't think it is as interesting. I don't think it has as many branches of the conversational tree like some of the things we talked about earlier.
It's too prone to go bad.
Yeah.
If you walk up to someone and you're like, how do you know Richard? And they're like, wow, I hate Richard. And you're like, why are you at this party? Like that's not gonna happen. You know?
Totally. And also I think it's one of those questions where you just ask it and then that person answers it and then they ask it to you back and then you answer it and then it's like, now you have to probably come up with a second question anyway. So why don't you just start with one that might begin a more interesting conversation?
I think we come from also like a place of privilege in this space where like we have cool fun jobs.
Yeah.
We have cool jobs and we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about.
Honestly, though, when I'm at a party where I don't know anyone, I don't like to ask this question because there is such a situation where I ask someone, what do you do for work? They're very ho-hum about it. They ask you, what do you do for work? And it's like everything I've ever dreamed of. And then it just like,
that sucks.
It sucks to be like, oh, you hate your job? Since I was a teenage boy, I wanted to do something comedic for my full-time job. And now I've done it.
Exactly.
And then it just feels like you're flexing. There's so many ways it can go bad that I just think you don't do it.
I did want to talk about the reverse angle of walking up into a group conversation.
Good.
Here's the thing. Just like rolling into the group and kind of standing there and like waiting to be addressed.
Yeah, that's so tough. That's so tough.
I'm like, I understand the like impulse to be like, I don't want to butt into the conversation. But like lingering on the outside of the conversation is, I just think, making it more awkward than if you were to be like, I love Dunkaroos.
Yeah.
You know?
If you have the conversational in, that's the best case scenario. I think standing there awkwardly is the worst case scenario.
Right.
I think the middle ground is, again, just kind of like honesty. You can just kind of go in and say, hey, I'm Mike. Nice to meet you all. That's better than just standing there awkward. I think that's a tough thing to do, and it can be awkward, but just standing there waiting your turn, that can be pretty tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because you're like, oh, you don't want to be standing in the corner.
Right.
Not saying anything or like looking at your phone.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
It's
I understand why it's awkward. It's just like there has to be some kind of action. There has to be action involved in the joining a conversation process.
I think so. And there's some things that can make it easier. Like if they are near the drink or snacks, you can kind of ask to get that. Then you're like semi in the conversation. So there is some other things. But yeah, I think avoiding just standing there in the group is good. And then if you want to avoid the things you mentioned, like just scrolling on your phone or being in the corner, like that's where you can look at whatever framed art is on the wall or on the bookshelf or whatever. Maybe someone is also there and you can make a comment. Like that can put yourself in the position to use some of the other advice that we have given. But yeah, I think just inserting yourself in a group and not saying anything is not a good call. That's tough.
That's hard. That's a tough one. That's a tough look.
All right, back to the legal pad.
To the legal pad.
My second one, if you are asking some sort of question to someone to spark a conversation, don't ask one that is too hard. Like, don't ask them something that makes them have to think too hard or try to come up with an exciting answer. There was a phase where I was so adamant about trying to not be what do you do for work, where I would ask people, what do you do for fun? And I think that's a good question to ask later into a conversation, but right off the gate, it just puts someone into hot water immediately because you're like, what do I do for fun? Yeah, it's...
I don't know.
I promise I'm a fun person, but what do I do? Yeah.
Exactly.
It puts too much pressure on them.
Because immediately for me on the receiving end of that question, I'm like, okay, what do I do for fun? I go to the movie theater. I watch movies at the movie theater for fun. That's not interesting. That's boring. It's too normal.
Right.
And then it also like backs me into a corner of like, but what if they don't watch movies? Then like we can't have a conversation. And then I'm running like a mad woman through my mind palace, opening different drawers and being like, what have I ever done for fun?
And then you want to avoid doing the too niche thing, because what if they have no idea what it is? Like you say, oh, I play a lot of whatever, and then they don't even know if that's a board game or a video game.
Exactly.
Or an obscure sport they've never heard of.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I think this can be something you ask a little bit later on, because you might get like some clues that kind of answer this already. You ask someone where they're from. They say they're from Brooklyn. You mentioned that you're in a racquetball league at whatever indoor gym in Brooklyn, and they go, oh my gosh, like that's where I do my Zumba classes. You can be like, people are still doing Zumba? And like you can...
I'd be like, people are still doing racquetball.
No, pickleball unfortunately is taken over. But as a tennis player, I can't do it. Otherwise this podcast will be 85 hours long.
We can't go
Can't
there.
go there. Future episode. How to yell at someone about why pickleball is bad. And they should just play tennis instead. But yeah, just don't ask a question that puts them too much on the spot. Do you have another pitfall?
Yeah, I do have another pitfall, but I didn't bring
a legal pad.
Let me go back into my mind.
Your mind palace, the mad woman rummaging around.
Root around in my mind palace. Okay, my final pitfall. I feel like we'll probably have in common.
Okay.
Which is to, off the bat, maybe avoid controversial topics.
Oh yeah, that one was so obvious to me that I didn't even put it in my list. That's good though. It's good that we've said that.
I think people need to broaden the definition of controversial topics though. When I say controversial topics, I don't just mean like avoid politics, which is like the thing everybody says about, having a conversation, which also I don't necessarily agree with. So
depending on where you live, like in New York, it's an absolute slam dunk home run to make fun of our new current president who's a terrible person. Like it's so easy. If you're in New York City, you're probably good. But
avoiding controversial topics for the time or like current events maybe.
Because even at least we're recording this in January of 2025, so things are bad all over the place. Even if this person agrees with you, it's just not fun to talk about how much of a bummer the climate is or the current administration or whatever. Like even if everyone's on the same page, I want to escape it. I'm at a party. Please let me think about anything else. Let's have a heated debate about LaCroix or...
True. Can you not name another
Pellegrino? I don't drink seltzer water. I think it's gross and disgusting.
Spindrift. Okay. Everybody?
Waterloo. All of you sponsor us. I'll pretend to like seltzer water. I promise.
Yeah. It feels so intuitive, but also like... if you're doing a thing where you're running around your mind palace, the things that might be immediately available to you are maybe not the things you want to say.
No, I get it. My final... Oh, wow. I forgot. My last one, don't linger around in a group scenario like a weirdo. Great, done, perfect,
we did
complete. We've given our advice, we've given our pitfalls. Quick recap on them is advice. Show up early. That's fantastic.
Show up early, that's tops.
Insert yourself into a group with some sort of conversational lead-in. Ham it up if you feel okay with hamming it up.
Ask about somebody's accessories.
Right, yes. Ask how they know the host or where they're from or where they traveled from to attend the party.
Find the person who is also there by themselves.
Yes, you've got your buddy.
Find a buddy.
Pitfalls. Don't linger around like a weirdo. Don't bring up any too heated topics right off the jump. Don't ask what you do for work.
Don't ask what you do for work. Don't do it.
Yeah. Hello, listeners / viewers. If you're watching this on the YouTube version, you might be wondering, why do you sound / look different, Mike? Why
What's going
do you
on?
look different, Sequoia? Why does
it seem to be a completely separate day?
Why are you in a completely separate room? Who's this third person?
Yeah, I'm a ghost, obviously.
Why does it feel like this is being recorded on June 30th and the first episode was recorded on February 8th, 2025? All valid questions. That is because by nature of this podcast, we pre-produced. We made like 5 episodes worth of stuff before releasing the first episode. And an important thing that we want to include in these episodes, as we've mentioned, is an introvert Gen Z vibe check. Now that we actually have content, we do have someone that we can vibe check with who is a Gen Z introvert. So I'm very happy to introduce, or to folks who are familiar with her work, reintroduce Sherry Guo, who has edited all of the episodes of The Newest Olympian, who has produced episodes and seasons of Meddling Adults and has done a lot of wonderful podcasting work. And Sherry's going to be our Gen Z introvert vibe checker for at least the first 5 episodes. Woo!
Woo! Woo, 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 woo. The crowd's going wild. Woo!
The podcast ghost makes its appearance.
People are fist pumping as they do laundry. Yes, Sherry!
I've literally never wanted anything more than a podcast ghost. So
I think that's a better way of naming an editor.
Just ooh every time you come in to make a correction. So Sherry, aside from being a ghost, do you want to give a little bit of an introduction of who you are, why you are qualified for this title, etc.?
I am qualified for this because I'm Gen Z. I was born in the year 2000, so I've only lived in 1 millennium.
Whoa.
Or century? Which is it?
wow.
Both?
Is it both?
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 Both.
Yeah. But I think we've all only... oh, yeah. I don't know. All I know is that there was a time... It was in 2021. I went to buy liquor from a liquor store, and the guy checked my ID, and he said, "Oh, your birthday has a 1 in front of it. You're good." And I was like, "Ah!"
Oh, rude. Rude.
Also, what is the definition of introvert these days?
Oh.
I feel like back in the day, it was always like, how do you charge your
Yes,
battery?
that was the phrasing. Yeah.
Yeah. Is your battery charged by being around other people, or does that drain your battery and you charge your battery alone?
I think for the purposes of this podcast, though, Sequoia and I have less of a fear of talking to strangers, or at least like acquaintances, when it comes to like get over the awkward hump. Like, just go out there and say the thing. And I feel like
Yeah,
an
I
introvert
certainly
would be
don't.
like, yeah.
I'm like, I'd rather die than speak first.
Yeah. So there, that's the definition we're using for the show.
That's it.
And we're here with it. So
I'd rather die than speak first.
it's a great full quote.
And that's going on a t-shirt. All right.
We've sent you the audio for episode 1. You've heard our advice and our pitfalls to avoid for small talk at a party where the only person that you know there is the host. What was your vibe check on the advice we gave? Were we okay, or were we being a bunch of extroverted millennials?
I feel like overall it makes sense, like from a rational perspective, but I feel like for me, I like the advice of finding a group to start out talking with first, so then you have more options, but I think a smaller group sometimes works better for introverts because meeting a lot of people at once is kind of like, there's a lot of you. And also personally, I'm good with faces but bad with names. So I will forget everyone's name immediately. And then later I'll be like, hey, you. But I'll feel terrible that I've forgotten their name and just probably will not talk to them again. Unless they're talking to me first.
Down the road, I would love it if we did an episode about forgetting someone's name, because I personally need the advice. I'm great with faces and terrible with names. It happened to me literally last night where I like rattled off multiple facts about a person because they were like, "Do you recognize me?" And I like rattled off like many, many, many facts. And then I was just like, but the first name is escaping me. But I can tell you all of these things. Any other things vibe check wise were we on base, off base for this episode?
Yeah. The getting there early is a genius thought. However, I think it only works if you personally know the host really well. If you're like an acquaintance of the host, I don't know how that would help the awkwardness, because then it's just an awkward conversation you're stuck in and can't escape because there's no other conversation to drift to.
That's valid. I would imagine that situation should be more rare.
Some people are very outgoing.
Yeah.
And will invite you to something after meeting you once in public.
I must have a high attendance at my party.
Yeah, they're trying to pad the party. Yeah.
It's like how Jeff Bezos invited Sydney Sweeney to his wedding. Like, you're not friends. What is happening? This is the joy of doing this like way months after the fact. Look at a timely reference.
Yeah. No, that's a really
That's a
excellent
good
point.
That's
That's a really excellent
point.
point.
Also, on the point about lingering, personally, I do it because I would rather die than speak first. So then I'm like waiting to like, get my opportunity to interject. And then I'm like, dang, I've missed it. I've missed another one. And then it just gets more and more awkward. So then you just kind of stay there. I do think it's very great advice, jump in early. But sometimes getting over the hump, like mentally, like there's nothing you can do about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think there is something to be said about the advice of like for extroverts, if you see someone at a party who's lingering on the outside of the conversation, speak first.
I agree. This is how I've made a lot of friends. I've befriended one extrovert and they've introduced me to many people.
Yeah. Finding a friend to introduce. I don't know if we said this in the episode or not, but
I don't think we did.
I don't know that we did. And we should have. So this is another good reason to do this. If there is a person, especially if you're an introvert, to introduce you to people, that's awesome. It doesn't even have to be that. When I was at the Percy Jackson season 1 premiere, Liam Crowley, whose like job is to talk to everyone, interviewing wise, because he's a journalist, he's already talked to everyone. And he's not afraid of doing the stuff. So he was able to like introduce me to people, and it was essential. So that can happen on a friend version as well. If you have a friend that you know is okay with talking to people, especially if they know everybody at the party, just be like, Frederico, please. I don't know what I'm doing. Introduce me to people.
Help it. Yeah.
Sometimes with the solo conversations, if it's introvert with introvert, it doesn't matter how hard you're trying, it will fizzle out because both of you are like, someone else please say something first.
Which of us will talk first or die first?
Also, personally, I'm just bad with follow-up questions that aren't like, oh, did you see that lamp over there?
Look, I think it's fine. I think even a bad follow-up question is better than no follow-up question, because at least like maybe the lamp is interesting. Like it's better than silence, I would say, because you never know.
They could be like, I gifted them that lamp, actually.
Thank you for noticing. Anything else?
No, I feel like generally it is like good advice.
We're doing
Success!
it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sherry. This has been our first ever Gen Z introvert vibe check. Cue the music if we have it.
Wow.
That is our advice on navigating the awkward situation of a conversation that you have, a small talk type conversation at a party where the only person you know is the host.
Yeah. And, this is from our perspectives. And also, not every conversation is going to go perfectly. Some of these things might work sometimes and they may not work other times. Everything has nuance, including this podcast.
This episode has been highly edited. And then also, full disclosure, this is our second time recording episode 1. A peek behind the curtain.
Wow. What? Yeah.
You're going to get out there. You're going to try your best. Maybe it's not perfect the first time, but you try at it. Try to remember some of these things.
If at first you don't succeed,
dust yourself off and try again.
Try again.
Yes. Now, thank you, everyone, for listening, for watching, however you have consumed this episode. We appreciate it. Where do we go from here? This is episode 1. At least where we currently are at, we're thinking of releasing every other week. We both have full-time jobs that are very demanding.
Yes.
If this podcast becomes super duper popular and there's a ton of support, then maybe it'll become weekly. But at least for now, every other week.
Yeah. And if you did really like this podcast and you do want it to happen every week, then there's a couple of things you could do. First, listen to the podcast. You're already doing that. Great job. Get the legal pad. Check it off. The second thing, of course, is to tell other people to listen to the podcast. That would be wonderful. And then you can also support the podcast over on our Patreon, patreon.com/professional talkers.
Easy to find. It's right there. We'll post bonus stuff. We will post that first episode that we made, the first take of episode 1. We also have a little bonus episode where Sequoia and I intentionally ask ourselves very awkward questions so that we are on a better level playing field before we talk about other awkward things for other awkward people. So if you want to see us fighting through the gauntlet of cringe, that's on the Patreon as well.
Yes.
And we've got stuff on social media as well. We are at Pro Talk Pod on all of the stuff, Blue Sky and Instagram, and you can check all of that out there. We also just want to get a sense of what questions and what situations you want us to talk about on the show. So please, whether it's on Patreon or social media or wherever, just let us know so that can give us a sense of what we should talk about. So I think that's all we've got here.
Well, Mike, it was nice talking to you.
It's nice talking to you too.
Listeners, we'll talk to you later.
We appreciate you listening to this episode of Professional Talkers.
Professional Talkers is created, hosted, and produced by Mike Schubert and Sequoia Simone.
Today's episode was edited by Sequoia Simone. The music is by Bettina Campamanes, and the art is by Elliot Davis.
Can't get enough of the show? Get access to loads of additional content like ad-free episodes and bonus episodes as a thank you for supporting us at patreon.com/professional talkers.
And if that's still not enough, follow us on social media. We're at ProTalkPod on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter. That's where we'll post about our premiere picnic in New York City.
If you want to watch the video versions of these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@professionaltalkers. Thank you to Stephen Hauser, who edited the video version of this episode.
We'd love it if you would subscribe to and rate the show on your preferred podcasting app, and we'd be especially grateful if you talked about the show to your friends or on social media. Word of mouth helps new shows grow.
We'll be back on Monday, July 28th for a new episode of Professional Talkers, this time covering avoiding awkward first dates with special guest Sophia Benoit. Talk to you soon.